Hi guys, welcome back to Simply Watching TV. I'm Jade and we're simply watching. So this video is going to be about Sex and the City season 1 episode 10, The Monogamists. I'm sorry, I really hated that intro, but whatever, I'm not cutting it out. So in this episode, we're going to talk about Big and Carrie. Are they monogamous? Do they know monogamy? Do they become one with monogamy? We're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about Charlotte and her anxiety over doing a certain thing in a relationship. We're also going to be talking about how Miranda needs to leave that boy alone. So we have a lot of issues to discuss and to tackle. So let's get into it. So in this episode, Carrie and Big have started dating, but like exclusively, but not exclusively. So that's interesting because we're gonna see just exactly why you need to say, hey, you need to ask me to be your girlfriend. Like we need to a contract that says we are only dating each other, if that's what you want it to be. So the episode starts with them basically explaining that they're in with Carrie basically explaining that she's in a relationship and she is like smitten with Big. I mean, we knew that this was going to happen because we just like, if we've been watching her since she's met him and since she's been around him, we knew she was going to be smitten by being in a relationship with him, just head over heels, not even like thinking straight, overanalyzing everything. So this is going to be the new Carrie in the relationship with Big. So her and Miranda have a conversation, and by the timing of everything and the fact that she hasn't really talked to her friends in a long time because she's just been so wrapped up in this relationship with Big, she's, I guess, like self-proclaiming that she's becoming like a woman that they hate. And what is a woman that they hate? A woman that they hate is a woman that's like so obsessed with her relationship that she doesn't have time for her friends. She doesn't have time for her family, doesn't do anything for herself. It's just her man. Girl, your man left you for... Anyway. So, and that's basically what he does, basically. Anyway, talking too much. Big. So she's kind of contemplating that because it's like she's aware of that's what can happen, but she doesn't want to become that. Well, you're gonna become that, so I don't know. So that's our first dilemma. It's Carrie. Well, okay, it's not necessarily proposed as a dilemma at first. It's Carrie in a relationship with Big. I mean, we see what the dilemma is because we know Big, but anyway. So that's number one, right? They fast forward to Charlotte and the girls having dinner, lunch, whatever. I think it's dinner because it was like nighttime or whatever. And they're talking about Charlotte being in a new relationship. This guy's perfect. You know, they agree on everything. Well, not agree on everything, but they like have similar likes, dislikes, and they can talk about everything. They can open up and be vulnerable with each other. She's got one problem. And honestly, Charlotte, if you don't do what you need to do, make like Outcasts. You know what to do. Like, just do it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If you guys have seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. All jokes aside, obviously not trying to pressure people into doing something that they don't want to do. And she was pretty firm in her stance that she doesn't like to do certain things. If you guys haven't seen the episode and you aren't catching my drift on what I'm talking about, I don't know exactly how like clean, unclean you can be on YouTube, but if you guys do not catch my drift on what exactly I'm talking about, be creative. Not too creative, but be creative, because it's kind of a basic thing, but be creative in the intimate moments between two people. What's something that's kind of sort of optional in that? I mean, everything is optional, but okay. I'm not good at explaining that without explaining it. But the point is, going down south. Yes. Charlotte does not want to do it. She's not a fan of it. She hasn't necessarily told him, but she's kind of apprehensive, like, oh, is this going to mess up the relationship if I, don't want to do it? It might. So now that's our number one dilemma. Well, it's not our number one, but it's our first dilemma that we run into. Should she tell him? that she does it, that she's uncomfortable with it and she's not gonna do it, or should she just get over it? Because like this guy is amazing and he checks off every other box for her, which kind of poses like a question, like what are we willing to like compromise and just kind of like, okay, I wouldn't prefer to do this, or I would prefer not to do this, but because, you know, nobody's perfect and a relationship isn't perfect, I can put up with this, I can put up with that. So she's kind of in that situation. She's trying to figure out if it's worth it or not. That's cute. But are we really surprised that Charlotte doesn't like to do that? No, not surprised at all. If you know Charlotte and her character, you know that is not surprising at all. So we're back to Big. I mean, like the dilemmas are back to back to back. Like they happen quick. Big is in a restaurant, the same restaurant that the girls were in having dinner, on a date with a young lady friend. And so all the girls see him, right? But Carrie walks up to him, of course, and she's like, "Are you on a date?" And he's, you know, honest about it. He's not trying to, even though I think before he told her, "Oh, I have a business thing," which is not the same thing as a date. That has nothing to do with business. But he told her, "I have a business thing." So she's like caught off guard because she's like, well, one, I thought we were exclusive, even though we never had a conversation about being exclusive, but I thought we were exclusive. And two, who is she? Like, you told me that you had a business date. This is not business. So of course that's a whole different thing, right? Because of course she's trying to keep a player in like public and not trying to like let him or them see her sweat. But by that same token, it's like, okay, what are we doing for real? Because I want to be in a relationship with you, but I can't do it if you're going to be like, you know, doing whatever you want to do and I'm not doing nothing. So that's their situation. I saw it coming. But again, without seeing the episodes, I saw it coming because Big is worth nothing. So she has a discussion with Stanford, and then that's where she meets this new guy, right? Who she kind of wants to entertain just to get her mind off of Big. But you know how that goes. If they're simply only like to keep your mind off of the main person, it's not gonna work. It's not going to work. So, and it never like even makes them jealous or anything. Like they play jealous, but they're not really jealous. So it's just like you wasted your time, right? So later that like same night, Big calls her and he's like, "Oh, are we still on for our date?" And she's all eager and like giddy and like, "Oh yeah, why wouldn't we be?" And instantly regrets it. So she goes, well, I mean, instantly regrets how she says it. She still confirms for the dinner date. So that night, like after they get off the phone, her and Miranda go to the to this restaurant. Their pasta looks so good, by the way. Like they're eating it like with the fork and the spoon to collect the noodles, and it just looks so good. So New York, but so they're eating pasta and she's talking to her about it, but she's just going on and on and on. And this is kind of like the beginning of where like Miranda starts to kind of get annoyed by it. She's gonna get real sick of hearing about Big like later, but this is kind of like the beginning stages. And Carrie's just asking her like, "Oh, at the end of the phone call, he said, 'I miss you, baby.' Like, what does that mean? What if he meant this when he said this? And what if he cut? We're done. Like, you're so confused by like a few words, one measly sentence, and it like sends you in a downward spiral because you don't know what he means and you don't know if he's really being genuine or if he's being funny or if he's trying to play you. Like, it's too much confusion. It would make my head hurt. Like, we're done with it. Like, okay, I get you like this guy, but it's too confusing. It's too confusing. So she should have cut it off right there. I mean, she should have cut it off like a couple episodes ago when I said she should have cut it off, but she didn't. So, I mean, every time he does something, I'm going to say she should have cut it off because she should have. So that is that one. While they're at dinner, right, we run into our third dilemma. Skipper and his new girl walk down the street and Carrie and Miranda see him. Now, of course, Miranda's checking out the scene because she's just like, who's this new girl with Skipper? Don't worry about it because you didn't want Skipper, right? So Skipper's just going on like, oh, okay, like, hey, like, you know, good to see you guys, whatever. Him and the girl go back to his house to do some things. And here go Miranda calling him. Now, this is back when you left the voicemail with that loud beep and like people could hear your voicemail. And so while they're, you know, being intimate, he picks up the phone, Pause, freeze frame. If you pick up the phone to do anything in the middle of something else, I assume you want it to be over. Like, that's it. I don't even understand why we're still entertaining the thought of anything happening after that, right? So, of course, he agrees to get back with Miranda. And he's just like, oh my God, this is the moment I've been waiting for, right? And so the girl's just like, is everything okay? And he like breaks up with her while they're like right there in an intimate setting. Skipper, what are you doing? Oh, but he will live to regret it. He will live to regret it. But again, that's why I said Miranda needs to leave him alone, because Skipper wants way more than Miranda wants. You had no business calling him in the first place because you already knew. Just because you was bored or because you saw him out with somebody else, let him be with somebody else who wants to give him what he wants. You don't want him like that. Like, you just want him for a good time. You don't want to be with him in like a relationship. Tried that, remember? So we get back to Charlotte and her guy, and they're trying to do it. And he keeps like hinting at, her doing a special thing. And she finally has the courage to say, I don't do it. And he's like, ever? And she's like, no, I really don't like it. It's disgusting. I don't want to do it. And he's just like, oh man, like, well, that sucks, because I plan on, enjoying that for the rest of my life. And she's just like, kind of taken aback, because she's like, are you really going to contemplate like leaving a woman who's like perfect for you, like in almost every aspect, just because she won't do one little thing? And he's just like, yes. I'm confused as to why you're still confused by this. Like, it's not nothing new, but Charlotte is always like decades behind everybody. So, starting the episode, we knew she was a little too old-fashioned to understand this. So needless to say, they break up. But that's fine, because I'm glad she didn't do something that she was so uncomfortable with she couldn't even stomach it, just to keep, said guy. Because, I mean, who knows? 2 months, 2 years from now, they could have broke up over something completely different. And now you sitting here thinking, dang, I didn't waste my time and did something I didn't want to do to keep you happy, and you still left? So, a lesson. Stick to your morals. Stick to what you want to do. Nobody can make you feel bad if that's what you want to do, because at the end of the day, you can say, that's what I want to do, and that's the decision I chose to make, whatever. And that is what it is. Like, nobody can make you feel bad about that. So that's her, right? So Carrie is out with said guy that she met while she was with Stanford, and they're kind of on a date. But again, like I said, she's only doing it to get her mind off Big. Mind been on Big the whole time. Like, she ain't took her mind off Big, right? So she's just like trying to live her best life. The guy is like easily coming on to her, and she not leaves him, but like goes to the, how they used to have like payphones and stuff, like in restaurants and stuff. She goes to the phone, calls Big. What are you doing? Why would you come? She calls him, right? And she's just like, oh, I'm out with this like young guy or whatever. And well, I don't know if she said young, but she's just like, I'm out with this guy, whatever, trying to make him jealous, but he's not really. Like I feel like Big was always like 3 steps ahead of her. And he's just like, oh, like, and so she tells him to come to the restaurant, the bar, wherever they're at. And he's just like, I don't know where you are. And she gives him like the address. She's like, meet me out front. Now, this part was weird to me, right? So she tells him, meet me out front. And it like, so after like they get off the phone or whatever, it fast forwards to her standing in a park for 45 minutes by herself in the cold with no jacket on and a dress that had her back out. The dress was cute, I'm just saying. It looked like it was cold outside, and then he shows up in a coat. So I know you cold, standing out there for 45 minutes. I don't care how many cigarettes you smoke. I know you're cold. So she is like standing outside, right, waiting for him. And he finally comes. I didn't get this part because I didn't understand why they put so much emphasis on the fact that they like mixed up the directions. Like, when he got there, he was like, what are you doing standing over here? I was waiting on the other side for 30 minutes. And she's like, this is the front. And he's like, this is the back. This isn't the front. Well, this is the front over here if you're coming from this entrance. Well, it depends the way you... And I'm just like sitting here the whole time like, the point of this is what? But is that supposed to represent that they're not on the same page? Like, ever? like in their relationship and just like in general, like they're never on the same page, like they can never get it together. Is that what that was supposed to? It has to represent something other than the fact that they simply just did not understand each other's directions, because if so, that was a waste of film. That was a waste of film. So she asked him, like, in a corny yet non-corny, subtle, not subtle way of like being exclusive and an exclusive relationship with her. Like, she asked him something like, will you stand still with me, or something like that. And it's just like, first of all, why'd you ask him? He should have been asking you. I'm just saying. And the reason why I'm saying this, I know people are gonna be like, oh, people are progressive, she can ask him if she wants to. Sure. But because we know how big is, and we know that this whole thing was an issue from the start, because he's the one who still wanted to see other women. Like, it's just sometimes they just gotta want it a little bit more than you do, babe. And in this whole relationship, you can just tell, like, she just wanted it way more than he did. So I'm just, now that they're in a full-blown relationship, I'm not excited. I'm not excited for the rest. Side note, Skipper finds out real fast that he should have humbled himself and not broke up with that girl like that. Because not only did Miranda leave you high and dry, again, once y'all discussed again how y'all want two different things, but now you done messed up your game with old girl, so you can't even get her back. So what you gonna do now, Skipper? What you gonna do now? Mope around about Miranda again for another few months until you finally meet somebody else? I'm just saying, Miranda really irritated me, but Skipper irritated me even more, because don't blow up your spot for somebody who didn't want you. She didn't want you. Not in the capacity that you wanted to be wanted. Samantha, we didn't really talk about Samantha that much this episode. She didn't really do much. She met some realtor that she was like doing all over the place. He found her a really cute apartment. It had exposed brick and a nice view of New York. And that was the episode. So that was a really good one, because that one definitely, like, you just kind of see how much Carrie wants this relationship with Big, and it's just like cringe. Like, I don't, because he's just not good for her. He's really, really not. But this was fun. Stay tuned for the next episode. I'm trying to make these videos shorter because I just want to. I don't like long videos. I don't like to edit long videos. I don't like to update long videos. So I'm trying to make these shorter. I'm trying to like just say the key points. Bear with me, you guys, if they're a little rough. I'm still trying to get the format of how I want to do these. But thank you for continuing to watch. Thank you for supporting, and I will see you in my next episode, which will be Girlfriends. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.